today we are looking at the chapter True Love or Infatuation. If you hear me step and you hear a creak, yeah, I'm standing in a different part of the room. So if you hear an annoying creak, that's what it is. It's the floor. All right. So our first quote: pure and holy affection is not a feeling, but a principle. Those who are actuated by true love are neither unreasonable nor blind. I've spoken about this before, about how feelings chop and change. Feelings are valid. We should be aware of our triggers for our feelings, but above feelings, love is a principle. We live in a society that likes to stress there's no chemistry, there's no spark anymore, I'm just not feeling it anymore. But we know that feelings chop and change. So you need to look at your underlying principles. This is why it's important in life. For example, when you're setting goals, people say, why are you setting this goal? What is your reason why? Because your reason why will trump all of the, oh, I don't feel it today, I'm not feeling like this. Think of all of the successful people, all of the people who have mastered certain crafts, mastered certain skills. There would have been days when they didn't feel like it, but because of their reason why, it would have pushed them past that. So that's what God wants for us. He wants us to operate off of principle and not feelings. All right. Love is a plant of heavenly growth, and it must be fostered and nourished. Affectionate hearts, truthful, loving words will make happy families and exert an elevating influence upon all who come within the sphere of their influence. I think that quote is so beautiful. Love is a plant of heavenly growth. When you think of a plant, it starts off as like, a tiny little seed, isn't it? And you have to tend to it, you have to care for it. And there's even been experiments where they like played certain music or spoken to plants in a harsh way or a loving way, and they've actually seen there's a difference. When a plant is cared for, not just physically, but in how you approach in general, how you speak to the plant will flourish. It's amazing, isn't it? A plant is a living thing, just like how we're a living thing. So we need to be watered spiritually, emotionally, physically. And I love here how it says it will exert an elevating influence. Isn't that lovely? You'll be taken up higher. People's thoughts will be taken up higher. People will be inspired because of your beautiful, loving home. The man who is bound in the chains of this. Okay, so this part now, this quote, sorry, to give a little bit of context, because as I've said before, these are just small little summaries of each chapter. Within this context, it's talking about when someone like wants a relationship. The man who is bound in the chains of this infatuation is too often deaf to the voice of reason and conscience. Neither argument nor entreaty can lead him to see the folly of his course. Now, isn't this true? There's a YouTuber who I listen to, and something that she says regarding relationships is this. She says, if they like it, I love it. If they like it, I love it. And initially I didn't get what she meant, but listening to her and in context, I get what she's saying. She's saying at the end of the day, it's not that you don't care about people, but when you see that someone is determined to have their relationship with someone, to do it in a certain way, it's like, okay, if you like it, I love it. Because something I've come to learn in life time and time again, when it comes to relationships and people being led by infatuation and not really looking into certain things, there is only so much you can say and do. If you try and overstep, you will just cause resentment, anger. Relationships will be broken down. And what it does is strengthen those two and make them feel more like, yes, it's me against the world. It's us against the world. They're hating on our relationship. So let's draw closer. The best thing for you to do, and it depends on the age. I understand every circumstance is different. The best thing for you to do is actually pray for someone, to show them, for us, for our children, show them the examples of a healthy relationship. So that's what they'll be drawn to. Okay, my mum treated my dad in a nice way. My dad treated my mum in a nice way. I would like this for my home. Yeah, a lot of times it's that influence that will help them. So if we've not been the greatest influence and then now we want to kind of say, don't choose that person, it's a bit difficult because that's all they've seen. All they've seen is toxicity their whole life. So how can they choose any better than what they've been exposed to? I'm not saying that everyone coming from toxic environments doesn't choose well, or everyone coming from more stable homes chooses well, if you get what I mean, because unfortunately life is like that. But I'm just saying, like, when you're trying to meddle into someone's relationship from experience, it doesn't work. All it does is drive them together. Actually trust the God that you say you believe in, and trust that he will do what he needs to do. And just let the person know, I'm here for you. Anything, I am here for you. All right. Jesus purchased you with his own life. You belong to him. Therefore, he is to be consulted in all things as to how the powers of your mind and the affections of your heart shall be employed. And isn't this it? So, reading this chapter, we can encourage our young people, our children. First, make Jesus your boyfriend. Make Jesus your friend. You know what I mean? Make Jesus your friend first before a relationship comes. You ask him to do that completing work in you. I don't believe that when you get married that you're going to be 100% complete and they're going to be 100% complete, because when you're married, it's a work in progress. You're helping each other to grow into the people that God wants you to be. Do you see what I mean? But when it comes to marriage, we need to at least be, 90% there, and have a willing heart for change, a willing heart to pray, a willing heart to humble ourselves before God and say, God, please help me in these areas where I am weak. Right? So just make Jesus your friend first. And then when you do that, you will get used to consulting him in things, and the powers of your mind and affections and heart shall be employed. So Jesus cares about all your feelings. He cares about all these fuzzy feelings, but he wants us to have balance. He wants us to be balanced in our decision making. And if we're practicing that from a young age, if we're practicing to consult him, squeaky floor, if we're practicing to consult him in all things, then by the time it comes to marital relationships and who we choose, we'll hopefully, by God's grace, we will choose much better options. So discuss this with your young people. True love or infatuation. Maybe have a discussion with your spouse about initially when we began, was it true love? Was it infatuation? What do you think we could have done differently? And what can we encourage for our children, for the people coming up? All right then, ladies. Bye.